Hello! We have 3 stories today, and we're back to a channel favorite, the home of Karen and her I Don't Work Here Lady Karen-ness. Our first story was a real eye-opener as one vet text day went from possum to clawful. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. When one of her furry clients took home a piece of her in his doggy bag. But that's not really where the story begins. Well, I mean, it actually literally is. So this is what writing yourself into a corner looks like. Uh-oh. What do I say? OMG, is the mic still on? Release the Kraken. I mean, Karen. Story 1. This happened a few years ago, so things are a little fuzzy around the edges. I'm a veterinary technician, and I got injured on the job. A puppy was handed to me, and he started flailing and managed to take a 1 centimeter by 3 millimeter chunk out of my cornea with his claw. Ooh, doodle. It's amongst the most painful injuries I've ever received. I can't see to save my life, so I call my dad and ask him to take me to the ER. He picks me up directly from work. The ER is a madhouse. You know it's going to be bad when there's a handful of staff waiting for an ambulance to arrive. While I'm waiting in the exam room, I hear a page come over the system for a code blue. That means a patient has arrested, and it's an all-hands-on-deck situation for CPR. It's also a reminder that you're lucky to be waiting in an ER because you're not dying. I'm eventually seen by the doctor, and I get a few sidelong glances from the nurses at my scrubs. They seem to notice the large paw print logo embroidered on them from the hospital I used to work at and leave me be. After my visit, the nurse who's discharging me points down the hall at the door and tells me to exit that way, and then she gets back to work. As I'm walking down the hall, a woman pops out from one of the exam rooms on my blind side and immediately starts yelling. I almost crash into a desk. Our characters will be concerned mother, mortified daughter, and yours truly, the main entertainment. Do you know how long I've been waiting? I gesture in vain towards the paw print logo. I don't work here. Do you think I'm an idiot? I can get someone to... We have been waiting for 45 minutes in this room. My daughter's tummy hurts. Do you even care about her? The daughter seems to be about 13 years old, covering her face with her hands, looking a bit like she wishes the floor would swallow her up. So I say, I can't help. Slowly, like I'm an idiot, she says, her tummy hurts. Do you people even care at all about how long we've waited? I'm in disbelief over how someone could be so clueless about triage. Did you not see the man come in that got hit by a car? Just a guess, but hoping to give her some perspective. Is he my daughter? No. Then why would I care? What's wrong with your face? Quit winking at me. Just struggling to see over here. My bad. At this point, a security guard shows up. He stands between us and looks at her, then at me. I'm desperately pointing at the paw print logo. I'm a patient. He nods and turns to the mother and starts explaining that I don't work here. I didn't hang around to see the aftermath because, you know, the whole couldn't see part. Some say her daughter's tummy hurts to this very day. In the comments, Polly the pony said, with a mom like that, my tummy would also hurt all the time. She probably is responsible for so much stress. Also, why weren't you a decent human being and just began a vet check? I mean, she was already barking like a dog. Supreme Dalek said, after, is he my daughter? No, then why would I care? I would have responded, is she my daughter? No, then why would I care? Freak to Deke replied, that would teach the poor daughter that every adult is nasty like her mom. First off, holy smokers, that eye injury made me wince big time. Oh my goodness, poor OP. Second off, perhaps this is a tad judgy, but why did the mom bring her daughter to the hospital for an upset tummy? Does anyone else think this is odd? Oh wait, it's a Karen, and she doesn't care if her daughter's tummy ache has the potential to delay urgent care to those in need. One of the unintended outcomes, benefits, of triage is conditioning people to not attend the hospital for minor things by making them wait for hours on end. And as one of the commenters said, this Karen was barking. #no swearing. Our second story features a heroic EMT who normally fights to save lives, but transitions to fighting off a hangry Karen who loses her cool in the frozen food aisle. The epic duel continues throughout the store and eventually outside in a tale of great escape as our would-be Indiana Jones tries to make it out of the Temple of Snacks with their frozen lasagna intact as Karen boulders toward him. Story 2. So, last night, I'm finishing up my shift as an EMT, and it's been a long and tiring one. The calls weren't bad, but there were a lot of them, and we were all over the county. Shift is over, I change back into my comfy clothes, sweats, t-shirt, hoodie, and I head to the store to get something for dinner. I get there just in time since they're closing in 10 minutes. I assure the cashier that I was just grabbing something quick, and I go and pick up a lasagna from the frozen section. I grab them and turn to head to the checkout when I hear ahem. Not a throat-clearing sound, but someone saying it like they were reading it out loud. Turn and look to see a woman, and she snaps off I need you to go in the back and get me a pack of the frozen pretzels. I say that I don't work here and point out where an employee just went behind an end cap. Woman snaps, you do work here, and you need to stop being lazy and get me my pretzels. I again say, I don't work here, and turn to walk to the self-check. She flips her lid and storms off muttering about lazy employees and managers. I finish checking out, and I'm grabbing my stuff and leaving when I see her again with her cart and a manager, and she yells, there she is! That's the lazy cow! And starts towards me. I'm not even going to engage, and so I hold up my receipt and my one item to the self-check girl and walk out. I hear the manager raising his voice and saying, ma'am, ma'am, ma'am. Turns out she left her cart behind and stormed out of the store to confront me. I get in my car to drive off, but she's standing in front of it, so I can't go anywhere. She's also giving me a tongue lashing that I'm too checked out to really pay attention to. Great. I'm already on my last nerve, and this woman is hate-fracking it. Manager sticks his head out of the door and hollers, ma'am. She turns and makes a hushing motion towards him. He hollers, ma'am, one more time, and she hollers back saying, I'm dealing with your employee since you're too much of a little wuss to do it yourself. He bristles and says, madam. She cuts him off with, shut the frack up, screeched at the top of her lungs. He shrugs, and I watch him go back inside. Fiddle with the locks, flip the sign to closed, and pull down the shades. As I'm watching this, she gets annoyed that I'm not paying her my full attention, and she yells, what the fork are you looking at that's so bloody important to ignore me? I just pointed at the shop and say, they just closed and locked the doors. I'm not sure what she screamed since it was pretty incoherent, but she did run towards the door. Seeing my chance, I drove off, leaving her pounding on the door and cursing. In the comments, Agrafine said, I get in my car to drive off, but she's standing in front of it. Time to break out the fun button, conveniently located in the center of the steering wheel. My meat is grass-fed asked, so question, do employees who are on the clock really make a regular habit of pretending to not work somewhere, while also conveniently being out of uniform? To the point assuming someone is lying is valid. Kamehameha Han Solo replied, yes, and they even go so far as to pretend to buy things, leave the store, and drive away, in the middle of their shifts. My meat is grass-fed added, you just can't find good help these days. Bear with Hat said, people are stupid. When I worked in a kitchen, I went to the store after a shift and some random jerk asked me if I work there. I told him no, and he replied, you look like you work here. So I retorted, you look like you work here. And then he threatened to fight me? Since when are sweats and a hoodie the uniform at any store? I think this would be irritating for anyone, but can you imagine? You just get off a shift where you're providing people medical attention, maybe saving some lives, and you have to deal with this garbage? Some rando telling you that you're lazy and with a Professor Umbridge tone. Hem hem. My sole purpose and sense of self-worth is making others' lives a living hell. Hem hem. Our third story mixes another Karen with a wholesome family outing to a restaurant, as one man competes for Dad of the Year award while he balances his family's happiness with a sour-faced woman intent on ruining their day. Luckily, an unexpected ally comes in the form of a chef with quick hands and even quicker sense of humor, but that might just be too many sake bombs talking. But let's not spoil all the juicy details of this grill side tale. Story 3. This happened just yesterday afternoon. My wife convinced me to go to a tulip farm. Spent the time picking up tulips, paying for them, and having to stand and walk around for 3 hours for Instagram pictures is not fun. By the end of that event, we were tired and hungry. I wanted to eat somewhere fun and found a hibachi place. My kids were excited and my wife was happy with her haul. We ended up arriving at the hibachi place and led to our seats. Great service by the staff, more on that later. I forgot to mention that I had a toddler and wanted a high seat for my daughter so she can see the griddle. The staff pointed to one of the wait staff and indicated I needed a high chair. I was 10 feet from the chair and the waitress was further away. I waved her off and grabbed the chair myself. As I returned to the table, another couple was being led to the other side of our table. Each hibachi setup sat 9 to 10 people, so I stopped to let them pass. After passing, a woman turned around and said something to me, but it was noisy and I was concentrated on getting my daughter seated. As I struggled with the seatbelt, I felt a tap on my shoulder, but I sat my daughter first. After seating my daughter, I turned around and the same lady was literally inches from my face telling me a bunch of things. I giggled and told her, "Sorry, I don't work here." Now, I don't know why she thought I did at all. Everyone who worked there was dressed in black and white. I was wearing a t-shirt, had mud on my shoes, and my hair was tossed around like I haven't slept in days. However, she insisted and kept raising her voice at me. Granted, it was noisy. I repeated that, "I don't work here." She then was heated, yelling, getting angry, saying that it was about her food allergies and if she got sick, she would sue me. At this point, I was tired and told her, "I don't care about your allergies because I don't work here." She put her finger in my face, and then my wife notices, gets up, swats her hand away, and stood between this lady and I. My wife clarifies that I don't work there, turns around and sits me down, and this lady keeps raising her voice that I was rude to her. At this point, her husband was red and grabbed to sit her down. This interaction lasted for less than a minute. The staff came by and calmed everyone down and made sure everyone was seated. They asked if I wanted to be moved. I said no. I was fine where I was, then asked the lady if she wanted to be moved, and she said no, but seemed pretty miffed. The hibachi chef has noticed all this as he rolled his cart in. He started his routine, and my wife and kids loved it. I just sat there, happy as a clam that everyone was having a great time while I would get to eat. At this point of the dinner, the hibachi chef started spraying my kids with water, which they loved. And for the adults, he would spray them with white wine from a bottle to loosen them up. When he gets to me, he gives me a really long dose and says, "You need a double. You work overtime today." I thought this was hilarious. As he went around giving all the adults a spray of wife, he gets to the lady and gives her the tiniest of spray and says, "Maybe not too much for you." She giggles but was obviously not entertained. As he does his routine, we had a good time and ate good food. My kids loved it, and to me, that was the important part. Now, after the routine, the chef starts cleaning up. He tosses a clean rag and scraper near me, and without missing a beat, I yelled, "Yes, boss!" Got up and started scraping off the grill. The chef started barking at me even more. I moved faster and more frantically. Then, a waitstaff brings a mop and bucket, and I started mopping. Everyone was laughing. My kids were going crazy. It was hilarious to me, at the least. So to add to it, I spontaneously asked everyone to give a generous tip for the show, even though it wasn't necessary, and they did. Except for you-know-who. I was finally urged back to my chair with clapping from my family. Chef gave a handshake for being a good sport and went on his way. We finished eating and getting served dessert. We then hear talking for the corner, where the couple is now arguing because she was mad at me and her husband allowed it all to happen. I really felt bad at that point and just wanted everyone to leave on a good note. I apologized about the interaction earlier because it was easy for me. I had no stake in their argument, and it did seem to help. We finished eating and packed up our stuff to leave. As we were leaving, this lady was at the lobby complaining to the manager about everything. My wife stopped and chimed in. Apparently, the manager already knew. He made it clear to the lady to calm down and in the most exaggerated Asian accent said, "Oh, so sorry, no refund. Now you go home." The lady was getting pulled by her husband to the parking lot at this point. "Sorry, dude." Then, that manager turns to us in the most New Jersey accent. "I can't believe that accent worked. I hope you guys had a great time." He proceeded to talk to my wife and kids while his staff helped me get our stuff into the car. He walked us out and gave my kids some takeaway snacks. Loved it. Overall, it was a fun day. In the comments, Mixtrini said, "I hereby withdraw my candidacy for Dad of the Year and will instead be voting for you." Natika said, as he went around giving all the adults a spray of his wife. That escalated. OP replied, "Haha, didn't see that. Wine, not wife. If this was a Hitachi story, then maybe it would be a wife." Savvy Blackbird asked, "Why would you go to a hibachi restaurant if you have allergies to the food they serve?" You can't control what other people eat, and there's a huge risk of cross-contamination. OP replied, I don't blame her. I'm lactose intolerant, but I only see it as a challenge as to how much dairy I can have before I feel sick. This place sounds so cool. I want to check it out, or somewhere like it. Sounds entertaining, and liquor, I don't know, seems like a gift with purchase situation, which is pretty amazing. Throw in a Karen, and it's especially entertaining. These Karen stories never get old, and I am still always amazed at how they double down. It's like that moment when they realize they're wrong unleashes something inside of them, and they attack. I actually thought the story was going to end somewhat differently, with the Karen saying, "See, I told you you worked here." Because usually stupidity and Karenness go hand in hand. Ooh, apparently I'm feeling a little prickly today. And that's it for today. Until next time, shine bright, Starlight. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.